All right, can I have your attention? Sorry, we're a couple minutes late tonight, but it's a lot of work to cook for a group this size, isn't it? But it's fun, and we love doing it. And I want to thank you all for being here tonight. We've got a great crowd here, and we're going to have a fun evening together. I am Stacy, and I've been the health ministries leader here at the church, at the Bright Seventh-day Adventist Church. This is put on by our New Beginnings Health team, which does regular classes on health topics. In fact, you have a little business card in front of you. You may have gotten that before if you've come to a class, and even if you did, take it and give it away to somebody else. Let them know about these classes, because this is a great place for people to come and learn about nutrition and plant-based eating and wellness topics of a variety of sorts. We have classes that deal with food, and then sometimes we do things related to more like natural remedies. In fact, back in January, the last class we actually did was on winter wellness. What to do if you start coming down with a cold or a flu, what herbs you can take, what kind of natural treatments you can do, hydrotherapy, poultices. If you missed that class, go to our YouTube channel. And you just look up New Beginnings Health Team on YouTube, and you'll find all the classes that we have done over the last 3 years. There's over 20 classes there on a wide variety of topics. So check those out, because you're going to learn a lot. And in every one of those classes, if you look in the description of the video, you will find links to all the recipes or the handouts that we had at that class. So you can basically get all the information that you might have missed. Now, hopefully, if you're new, anyone new here tonight, first time ever to one of our classes? Excellent, great. I love to see all those new faces. All right, so hopefully you filled out a registration card when you came in. If you didn't, make sure you do, so that we can notify you when we have classes in the future, and you can get on our mailing list or our email list, so that you don't miss any of the upcoming topics that we will be doing. One other thing that is on your table in the little tote, red canister, whatever that thing is, is some little envelopes, some little donation envelopes. We don't charge for our classes, but when people come and they find they've got a lot out of it, found it had a lot of value for them, and want to give a little love offering to help defray some of the expenses for the food and such, you can do that by those little envelopes and just turn them into the registration table before you leave tonight. And that just helps kind of defray some of our expenses. So tonight is a little unique in that I'm not doing the presenting, which I normally have been. I actually have my friend Stephanie Howard here with us tonight, and she's come in from Lansing. And Stephanie's been a good friend for a long time, and her cookbooks have been some of my favorites for many years, and she has those with her here tonight. Her Give Them Something Better. This is actually the title we're doing for this class, because the recipes you're getting tonight are from this cookbook. But her other one, which I really love, even though I don't even have children, and we have a dad here who does have kids, is Kidlicious. And this book was designed for parents with children so that they can get them in the kitchen, cooking with them and eating healthy. But these recipes are amazing even if you don't have kids. So I highly recommend this cookbook as well. So stop at the table and make sure you get those before you go tonight. Of course, you got the recipes for tonight's recipes that you're going to try, so you'll have those as well. Okay, next thing I want to mention is, in addition to our YouTube channel, we have a Facebook page. So like our page, that's another way to kind of get notified when we're doing things. And then we've got more events coming up. So a few weeks ago, we started a soup and study class, and we're only a couple sessions in. So we have a lot more topics to go. You may have seen the big, beautiful banner when you walked in, and that has all the topics in this Creation Health series. Basically, it is a series of study guides that cover different health topics, but from a biblical perspective. Of course, we are a faith-based group, believe that God in His Word talks a lot about how we can have optimal health. In fact, Jesus came and said that he came to give us life and life more abundantly. And that's kind of like the theme verse of our ministry. So these study guides are awesome because you're learning about health, but you're looking up some Bible verses that teach you about that topic. So the next 4 that we have coming up are the next 4 Thursdays. So kind of block out your Thursday nights for the next month and come and join us. We're going to be covering trust in God, interpersonal relationships, outlook, and nutrition. So these are 2 of the lessons topics coming up. Now what we do is we feed you first. So you come, we have soup or a sandwich or bread or something, always some kind of a soup, and then we have a little study time. So it's more personal, more interactive. It's great. So if that's of interest to you, plan on joining us next week and kind of let us know you're thinking about coming so we make sure we have enough soup. So we want to make sure you get a good meal with that. So before I go into a little bit about what the topic is here this evening, I have an important announcement to make, and it's a difficult announcement for me to make, but I'm going to tell you about it anyways. And I'm really going to be speaking more to those who've been attending here for a while. And it was in 2020 that I was asked to become health ministries leader here. We'd had several other leaders in the past, great ladies who have really done a lot, and we already had a solid team that had been formed. But there had been a little bit of a lack where we hadn't had anybody for a little while, and I was asked to take that role. And as you all know, 2020 was COVID, and nobody was meeting to do anything, right? We were all at our houses. And I thought, how do you teach health classes when nobody can get together? And I started praying about that. I'm like, Lord, if you're asking me to do this, give me some ideas of what we can do. And I thought, health is probably more important to talk about now than ever, right? Especially like how to keep your immune system up and all that. So yeah, it was really fun. What we decided to do was start doing virtual cooking classes, live interactive virtual cooking classes on Zoom, where we gave people the recipes ahead of time. They bought their ingredients and they were cooking in their kitchen while we were cooking in our kitchen. We were all cooking at the same time. And we had a blast. And we did that for about 8 months or so until the summer of 2021. And then we opened up back for in-person classes, did a garden-themed class where we went around in the around the facility here. We have a couple gardens, so we did some garden tours and then had a garden dinner, and it was fabulous. And we've been meeting in person ever since then. And like I said, we've done 20 classes in that period of time. And I have absolutely loved this because I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people from this community. And many of you have become very dear friends if you've been coming here regularly. But my sad announcement is that my husband and I have taken a call to another area. And we are moving to the Saginaw area in about a month. And he's going to be pastoring 2 Seventh-day Adventist churches up in that area. And I am going to be, it seems like the Lord is opening up the way to do trainings of how to do things like this all across the state of Michigan, so that we can replicate what we're doing here all over. And that is very exciting to me because I love these classes. I love getting to meet people, and I would love to see churches all over our state doing classes like this, helping people with health education, teaching them how to cook plant-based, helping them to improve their health and get over diabetes and all these lifestyle-related diseases. And I've had multiple churches asking me to come and help them do this. So I think that's what God has in mind for me. He's given me a lot of practice here, and you guys have inspired me so much that I'm very excited about that opportunity. But it's also sad because I won't get to see your faces every day. Cindy's grabbing her tissue. Love you, Cindy. So pray for us in this transition. Now I'm going to invite Mary Lou up here because we are not ending what we're doing here. We've got a good thing going. Yeah. And so Mary Lou, you're very familiar with her because we've done so much presenting, and Kim, who's standing over there, has done a lot of presenting with us too. Mary Lou is going to be taking over as the leader of this ministry, and you're not going to be on your own.
No, we will have a good team. We have a good team.
We have a good team.
Stacy's a hard act to follow. So Let's see what we can do.
That's
The
right.
Lord's leading.
There's so many more things to talk about, and yes.
And if you have ideas, if
Yes.
there's something that's heavy on your heart that you want to learn about, let us know
Yes.
so that we can research it and prepare for it.
Absolutely. In fact, several of the classes we have done has been at the result of requests that you have had. I think of our plant-based eating 101 class, which was like, how do I even start eating plant-based? That was a fun class to put together. It's on our YouTube channel, but that was a request of an attendee. So yeah, if you've got a good idea, pass it our way, and we'll see if we can make it happen. So pray for Mary Lou, pray for the team, pray for us as we head on. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I look forward to it.
So as we transition to tonight's topic, in this cookbook that, and it was also on your brochure, the subtitle was America's Longest Living Culture Shares Their Family Secrets. So that was based off of an article that was published in the National Geographic back in 2005, so this was a little while ago, by Dan Buettner, and he did a study of the longest living cultures in the world. Places where people live frequently over 100 years old, where like whole cultures are long living, the longest living people in the world. And so he went and studied them, and he wrote an article for National Geographic, and then later on published a book called The Blue Zones. And there's also a website that's now called The Blue Zones. And it looked at these longest living groups. Now, some of those groups were the Okinawans in Japan, which ate a lot of soy. You had the Sardinians in Italy, was another one. And they eat a more kind of a Mediterranean diet. And then a third one was a group that live in Costa Rica, eat a lot of whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. And then the fourth group that was mentioned, this was the article, Secrets of Long Life, that was mentioned was actually the only one that was in North America. And that was a group of Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California. Now the reason he went to Loma Linda was because there's a very large population of Seventh-day Adventists there because of a university and a hospital system and such. What he found in all these people groups is that one of the common denominators in all of them was that they were primarily plant-based eating. And when you eat plant-based and you eat very little meat or no meat, and you focus on family and community, and in the case of Seventh-day Adventists also on faith, that it results in living longer. And so I gave you an article that appeared in the NBC News that came out about, this was actually published in 2019, why the Blue Zone City, Loma Linda, California can teach us about living longer. And there's a couple little points here I just want to highlight. The third paragraph down, it says Loma Linda is home to one of the largest concentrations of Seventh-day Adventists in the world. There's actually quite a few, 26 million Seventh-day Adventists around the world. We're, of course, one here in Brighton. And he says at the bottom, I found that Seventh-day Adventists live 7 to 11 years longer than people in North American counterparts. How would you like to live 7 to 10 years longer than most Americans? I want to, especially if you have good quality life. Now, if you feel horrible, you may not want to live 7 or 10 years longer. But if you have good quality life and you're feeling great, why wouldn't you want to live to 100? And what could you do to do so? So some of the things that this article mentions, and you can just see it from some of the headlines or sections, the Garden of Eden diet. And here it quotes Genesis chapter 129, where God said that he was giving us every herb-bearing seed which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, for you it will be for meat. In other words, the Garden of Eden diet that God originally gave us was a plant-based diet. And guess what we're going to be eating when we get to heaven? A plant-based diet. There will be no death. There will be no animals being slaughtered for hamburgers in heaven. So we will be eating plant-based there. And why not start eating that way now? Another thing that he found is that Seventh-day Adventists also don't drink alcohol. They don't smoke. They don't drink coffee, caffeine. These are things that we seek to avoid. And another important thing is taking time for rest. And we do that every seventh day on the Sabbath, as is mentioned in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, and in the Ten Commandments in Exodus chapter 20. When you take time for rest every week and set aside 24 hours to spend with God and your family and in social connections, it results in longevity and God's blessings. So these were some of the things that he discovered, and that kind of inspired Stephanie to include some of those principles of health in her cookbook. So if you get her cookbook tonight, you'll find some of those points about longevity. And as I was thinking about longevity, I thought of a Bible verse. And this is the last thought I'm going to share with you. The most common verse in the Bible, you all probably know it by heart, is John 3:16. And if you know it, quote it with me. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him will not perish, but have everlasting life. What kind of life? Everlasting. So what's the key to longevity? Is it just eating your broccoli? Is it just avoiding meat or other high-fat, saturated foods? No, the ultimate secret to longevity is experiencing Jesus in your life. And when we accept Jesus as our personal Savior, he says that he comes to give us life. In John 5:24, he says, most assuredly I say to you, he who hears my word and believes in me, believes in him who sent me, has everlasting life and will not come into judgment, but is passed from death into life. I want every one of you to experience that form of longevity. While I want you to eat plant-based and feel better, ultimately, my prayer for you, and kind of, I guess I'd say a parting wish for every one of you, is that you would accept Jesus as your personal Savior and experience eternal life. Because if you do that, we're going to spend eternity together. And I want to spend eternity with you because you all mean so much. So that is our little devotional thought. We're going to have a prayer for our class, for our meal, and then we're going to dismiss you to get your dinner. All right, so let's have a prayer. Dear God, I want to thank you so much for what you have taught us about health. And the Bible is full of instruction, which is why we're doing these Creation Health Bible and study classes right now. But Lord, what we need more than anything is you in our life to give us eternal life, everlasting life. And until we receive that everlasting life, we want to right now experience abundant life. So we thank you for this class tonight where we can learn about nutrition and some recipes that will help us to feel better and live better and hopefully live longer. And I pray for your blessing on everyone here. Bless Stephanie as she presents tonight. Bless this meal, that it would nourish us, and bless our fellowship and time together. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, we're going to start with the tables that have brand new people at them. How's that sound? So if you're new tonight, let everyone at your table know you're new, and you guys get to go first, okay? Just pause. Oh, then you can't. Just let it run. Okay, everybody, it's time for me to show you what we ate.
You need a whistle.
I don't have a whistle. Do you have a whistle?
There you go.
Like that?
Whistle, Ron.
Well, I can't go like that, but I can do the other whistle.
Remember your attention, we're going to start, Stephanie is going to start explaining what you are eating and how to put it all together.
I got quite a little.
Okay, we are going, first of all, how was your supper?
Good.
To quick add a personal note to that information that Stacy shared earlier, when I was in my early 20s, I was diagnosed, I'll stay in one place. I was diagnosed with high cholesterol. My cholesterol was 340 something. Wow. And I was in my 20s and I thought, well, how bad can it be, right? So I tried to start changing my diet, but it was difficult. I didn't know how to do it, and so I kind of gave up. And then shortly thereafter, my grandmother had a stroke, and was put in a nursing home. And my grandfather then had a heart attack, his second, and he had to go to a home. And I thought, these seem to be related. They had high cholesterol, their arteries got clogged, one was in the head, one was in the, I should probably think about this just a minute. And so I started to try to change my diet again. And I tried the things that the doctor told you to do. You're not supposed to eat cholesterol, which is most of your animal products, and you're supposed to eat more vegetables. And I didn't do very well at that because it was very difficult to change what I had eaten my entire life. I had tried to try new recipes, but it just wasn't the same. I didn't know how to cook anything else, and I soon gave up. Somewhere in the process of all of that, before my grandparents passed away, I found the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I fell in love with their biblical teachings, and I started going to the church, and believe it or not, it was a year or two into me being in the church before I even found out of what they call the health message, which is basically, the idea that we are to take care of our bodies and eat healthy. And so I thought, okay, here's some people who can help me, yeah? So I started trying to eat healthy. I found a couple of cookbooks, but it was still difficult to do, and it was a challenge. And eventually, I had taught myself how to cook, and I started making these recipes. I started making the recipes that were like the recipes I grew up when I was a kid, only just a little bit healthier. And when this Dan Buettner study came out, I was like, you're telling me that we can live up to 10 years longer than everybody else, and we're not telling anybody about this? Somebody needs to write a book. And I couldn't get anybody else to write the book. So I wrote a cookbook, and in the cookbook you'll see the 4 main reasons that Dan Buettner recommended the Seventh-day Adventists, the reasons that they live about 10 years longer than the average American, and that is healthy plant-based diet, getting a good exercise, because even if you eat healthy and you're sitting on your bottom all day long, you're not going to, it's just as bad as smoking cigarettes, so there's that. And then having a purpose for living, having a reason to get up in the morning, and that was huge for living longer, as well as then taking that day of rest that Stacy told us about. So, with that being said, I started doing these cooking schools and sharing things, and I've made it my life mission to help people make that change that was so difficult for me. Because I know if my grandmother and my grandfather would have known about this, I told myself this in the beginning, if they would have known, they could have lived 10 years longer, they could have seen their great-grandchildren, it would have been so great. But the truth is, they only would have done it if they had someone to help them do it. And so I hope to be that person to help other people to do that so that they can have those extra years, extra healthy years with their families and living stronger, not just living longer. Because nobody wants to live longer in a nursing home. That's the truth. So with that being said, we're going to make some fake feta, which is in your salad and also in your salad dressing. It is a tofu-based cheese substitute. It's high in protein. It adds a nice tanginess to your salad that you might be missing. It's also really good in spanakopita. You can make that spinach pie. It's really tasty like that, and you can use it in almost any recipe that calls for feta. So, with that being said, I'm using firm tofu for my feta. It comes in a package like this. You can use extra firm, that works really well, and the extra firm tofu at Costco doesn't even need to be pressed like this. But what I do is I take this tofu, I take it out of the wrapper, and it's in water. So you just dump the water out, and what I like to do with mine, especially if you're using the firm tofu, is I have a tofu towel, and I just wrap it in a towel, and I leave it sit that way. This has been sitting overnight, but it can sit that way for just, half an hour or so, just to get most of the water out, because what you need, tofu is filled with water, and if you don't get the water out, then the flavor doesn't get to go in. So it's like a sponge. So if you take all the water out and you put flavored water in, then it starts tasting like what you want it to taste like. Otherwise, tofu doesn't taste like much of anything, and it's kind of not great. So, with that being said, this is our tofu, and to make the fake tofu, all we have to do, before I crumble my tofu, let's mix our marinade in here. So in my marinade, this is my lemon juice and my water. I mix it together because it is easier to transport. And then I add my salt, my garlic and onion powder, and then I add basil. You can leave the basil out. Sometimes if I'm doing something that's a little bit more, a different flavor, I don't add the basil, but it gives a good flavor. So I'm going to give that a good mix. And once you mix that together, the tofu or the lemon juice in this mix helps to firm up your tofu even a little bit more and kind of gives it a different texture, kind of faux cooks it, if it were, as it were. So anyway, then I just crumble it up. And that is really, it's kind of you feel silly kind of demonstrating this recipe. It's so simple, but it really is a tasty treat. And I make it all the time and put it in my salads just to have it in my salads. You can make it into larger chunks or smaller chunks. I usually leave it about yay size, but if you like it smaller or larger, you can do that. And once you get it all mixed up, I'm going to do this in a quick manner because we're going to use this to make our garlic feta dressing. And the garlic feta dressing was on the salad tonight. What did you think of the salad dressing? Good. Yeah. This one is a low-fat salad dressing. It's not no fat because we're using a soy mayonnaise, but it's a lower fat dressing. It's got a lot of protein. So sometimes people will tell you that you're not getting enough protein when you eat when you eat a vegetarian diet. It's honestly not that hard to get enough protein in your diet, and just doing small things like this really helps because now you're eating a salad with protein. The salad you had tonight not only had the tofu in it, but it also had chickpeas in it, which gives you even more protein. So you don't have to worry too much about your protein unless all you eat is French fries and Oreos. Then you should be concerned. All right, so we're going to stir this up. And typically what I will do is I'll leave this sitting in the dressing overnight to soak up the flavors. And it'll give it a nice tanginess, it'll give it a nice texture. I'll tell you, you all just tasted it. You know what it tastes like. So we're going to do that, and we're going to let that sit for just a minute while we make up the dressing. And for the dressing, it's also one of those recipes I kind of feel silly demonstrating, but I'm going to do it anyway. I have one of these little things. It has this cute little ball inside, and it helps mix it so you don't have to blend it or, whatever. So all you need is you need a half a cup of the soy mayonnaise or the vegan mayonnaise and a half a cup of sour cream. This is the Kite Hill. My favorite is tofutti, but I can't find it very often. Kite Hill I can get at the regular grocery store, and so that makes it easy to get. So there's Kite Hill, and then I usually use the Hellman's Vegan because it's super easy to find. It's in most every grocery store. If you can't find Hellman's Vegan, you can usually find Veganaise, or those are the two main ones right now. So we're going to add.
And the tofutti is found at the local natural view market here on Main Street. I did find it.
So you can find it.
And that was in the dressing.
All right, so we're going to do a half a cup of each into our cute little bottle here. And you're going to notice I don't really measure it when I do it sometimes, because you're not going to have to eat it. If I were cooking for you all, I would measure it real seriously because I want it to taste right. But I'll take this home and I'm going to feed it to my family, and they won't mind. They don't even know I messed it up. So let's do a half a cup of that. You can see it looks just like regular sour cream. The Kite Hill is a good brand. I will tell you, I did try the Kroger version of sour cream, and I really couldn't eat it. Just saying. So if you're thinking about maybe I should try this brand, I wouldn't try it. That's just me. Okay. So then we put in our half a cup of our mayonnaise and our half a cup of sour cream. So let's do that. Okay. And then, we're going to go back to our salad dressing. Just FYI, the book is color-coded by colors, and the green is the salad section. So I'm looking for my salad dressing.
We got it.
You got it. Well, okay, there we go. So we have our half a cup of mayonnaise, half a cup of sour cream. Now we're going to add the liquid and 2 tablespoons of liquid from this, plus 3/4 cup of the tofu feta. So I'm just gonna go like so. I didn't plan this well, but we're gonna do it like, well, I'm just gonna scoop it. We're gonna be fine. I'm gonna scoop about half a cup, or about 3/4 cup of this in here with the liquid. There we go. And then you can save the leftover and just sprinkle it in salads. You could do like a bowl with it, do like a Mediterranean bowl. It's really tasty like that. Okay. Next thing we want to do is go ahead and add some fresh basil, which I actually have some fresh basil here. I'm going to add some of that. And then we're going to add some sugar and some salt. I'm using cane juice crystals, which is a little bit less refined sugar. It's not bleached kind. And you can find that at the regular grocery store, or you can use regular sugar or any kind of sweetener that you want to use for that. And then we're going to use a clove of garlic. Now, this is the jarred garlic, and I purposely brought the jarred garlic today because I wanted to tell you something that I believe in firmly. People say fresh is best, and it's true, fresh is always best, but jarred is better than takeout. And if buying a jar of garlic, instead of having to peel all those stupid little things and crunch them all up, is keeping you from, cooking food, then just buy a jar of garlic. It's better to cook fresh food with a jar of garlic than to go order pizza from takeout.
Yeah.
And so don't worry about sometimes taking these little shortcuts, because it's okay. So we're going to put our garlic in, because garlic is what makes the dressing good. Garlic and the fresh basil. Now, you don't have to use the fresh basil, but here's a little secret. When you're cooking for people at home who are used to, they have to eat what you cook them anyway, it's okay to use the dry, but if you want to impress somebody, use the fresh. If you're not trying to impress anybody, don't worry about it. And then we're going to add just a little bit of non-dairy milk to loosen it up. Stacy, would you grab the milk? It's on the tray for the other thing that we're making. I need to put both. Yeah. Anyway. I'm going to wipe up my little mess here. And then we're going to shake up our tofu. Let's just give it a shake. And then we're going to have garlic feta dressing. So what do you guys typically like to put in your salads?
Tomatoes.
Tomatoes? Even when it's not tomato season? It's not, sometimes they don't even look like tomatoes nowadays. But they're coming. It's coming. The sun is shining. We're going to have gardens soon. It's going to be great.
Definitely broccoli.
Broccoli?
Cabbage.
Yeah, I like cabbage.
Red onions.
There we go. And we have dressing. Yay! Woo! Okay. All right. That is how we make the dressing for the salad. And now we're going to make our pasta Primavera. Yes, sir.
How long will the fake feta last?
It lasts a couple of weeks in the fridge.
Okay.
As long as you keep it cold and don't, because that lemon juice kind of keeps it,
Okay, great.
it's kind of, lemon juice kind of acts like a vinegar. It kind of preserves it. So it lasts a good couple of weeks in the fridge. Ooh, yay. She brought all the good stuff with her. Okay, so now we are going to make the pasta Primavera, the queen of the party. The blue section, because of the blue zones, that's the main meals. And in the main meal section, you'll have 5 different recipes under each category, just in case you were curious. So when I made this cookbook, I was cooking for a small Bible college. And in the small Bible college, I had to cook 7 days a week for, all the kids, which weren't really kids. They were people from the ages of about 18 to 50, 80, I don't know. I didn't ask everybody their age because you're not supposed to. And so on Sundays we did soups and salads, or soups and sandwiches. Mondays we did meat and potatoes. On Tuesdays we did Taco Tuesday. Wednesday was Italian. Thursday was some sort of rice. Friday was junk food Friday, and then on Sabbath we usually did some sort of a casserole. And so there's 5 main meals from each of those types in this that we tested during that time. So we are going to start by making the Alfredo sauce. Actually, I think I'm going to start by cooking the vegetables, and we can make the Alfredo sauce while the vegetables are cooking, because that'll take a minute. So let's do that. We are going to start with this pan. That's the Alfredo sauce. Here we go. All right, so we are going to start by adding just a little bit of oil to the pan. If you do not want to add oil, you don't have to add oil. You can just saute in a little bit of water, but make sure you have a nonstick pan or it may not work as well. So we are going to go ahead and start adding our harder vegetables, which is going to be our carrot. And again, this is one of those things that bagged is better than takeout, because I bought them like this because save a little bit of work. I did chop up everything else myself though. So I have onions and peppers, and I'm going to have those, and then I have yellow squash. You can put really any vegetables you want in this. If you don't like something, you can always leave out whatever that is that you don't like. If you don't have certain things, then you can do whatever you want. So that's cauliflower, and then we're going to, I'm going to save the other ones till the end because they don't cook as long. Well, the broccoli does. Add some broccoli. And it doesn't sound like this is going to cook very fast, so we'll just let it cook. It's warm though. So we're going to just let it cook for a minute, and then we'll make our Alfredo sauce. So we'll let that get started. I'm waiting to hear a sizzle. It's not sizzling. It's okay. Once that gets started, we will cook it. But until then, we are going to make Alfredo sauce, which this also is one of the super easy recipes that you are going to really like. I want to introduce you to a friend of yours. This is silken tofu. This is not the kind you find in the regular section with the tofu. You may not normally see this. I've not tried making this with the soft tofu that you find in the in the produce department, but this is extra firm silken tofu. So it's a little meatier, as it were, and I think it gives you a better texture, otherwise it's going to be too wet. And this can be found in your regular grocery store, but it's in the Asian market, or Asian aisle, and it's shelf stable. And you can buy this, you can buy it by the case if you get it at a health food store or whatever, and you can keep it in the fridge or keep it in the cupboard, and you can always have this tofu. And this tofu makes all kinds of really good things. Besides Alfredo sauce, which is really good, you can make a coconut cream pie, which is fantastic. You can make chocolate pie. You can make, all I can think of is pie right now. But it does make other things. It makes all kinds of, anything that you want to be creamy, you could use this in it instead of like regular dairy cream. And it is high in protein, it's high in calcium, but it's also creamy and very nice textured. So anyway, I open it up this, and I grab a pair of scissors, and I just chop it across. Did anybody hear any sizzling yet?
Check the light.
It's on.
Is it on?
Yeah, that's warm. I was going to heat this up earlier, but it seemed to get hot faster
Do you want me to
earlier.
put it on the stove?
No, it'll be fine. We'll just pretend. If I get home and have to cook it again, it'll be fine. Just pretend like it's cooking, everybody. Okay. Now, we have tofu, and then we're going to add to that a 1.5 cups of milk. Then we use this. Oops, I didn't put my tofu in. What was I thinking? This is unsweetened almond milk. You could use any unsweetened milk. You don't want to use anything with sugar in it. And don't use vanilla flavored. Don't use vanilla flavored. I don't particularly like oat milk in this. I feel like oat milk tastes like cereal milk. And you don't really want that in your, but other milks will be fine. Okay, so now I put my tofu in, I put my milk in. What's next, everybody? Garlic, okay. Why don't you guys just tell me so I don't have to read this thing? Okay, we have garlic next. And then what's next?
Olive oil.
Olive oil. How much olive oil?
1 tablespoon.
You skipped the Parmesan cheese and yeast flakes.
No.
That's the next one.
Garlic, 3 tablespoons. No. After garlic and the Alfredo sauce.
Oh, they
Alfredo
have
sauce.
a different printout. I typed it up.
Well, no wonder. Okay. Well, okay, then let's put oil in. Didn't mean to argue with you. Okay. We'll put in a tablespoon of olive oil. And then you could actually leave out the olive oil if you wanted to also, but it does give it, olive oil carries flavor, or oil carries flavor. If you don't put oil in, the flavors don't ever mix together really well. So I always, well not always, in certain recipes I always put a little bit in. And a tablespoon of olive oil for the whole serving that you have, it's not so bad. Okay, and then after the olive oil, what's next on yours?
Vegan Parmesan cheese.
Okay, Parmesan cheese. Or nutritional yeast. Here's the nutritional yeast. I had some Parmesan cheese. I think it's on the other tray. Here's a little secret that I didn't put in the cookbook, or I decided later, is I put in both. If I have both, I'll put in both. So there's the nutritional yeast. Does everybody know what nutritional yeast is?
Yes.
No, okay. So nutritional yeast is it's a nutrition supplement. It's fortified with vitamin B12, which is one that tends to be deficient in vegan or vegetarian foods, because the only place you can get B12 is really from dirt. And the animals get their B12 from eating dirt, and then people who eat the animals can get the B12 from that. But because we don't do that, we need some B12, so it's a good place to get it. It looks a little bit like fish food if you look at it closely. It's flakes. But it has a really nice cheesy flavor, and it's really good in any kind of cheese-ish recipe that you want, or just a nice savory flavor in certain things. My favorite way to eat it is on popcorn. It's really good that way. So there we go. Some yeast flakes. After yeast flakes we do, or yeast flakes or Parmesan. Here's the Parmesan cheese that we used. You can use a different brand, but this is a vegan Parmesan by Follow Your Heart. This one is available at most of your grocery stores that carry plant-based items.
Is that yeast available at most stores?
The yeast flakes are, it's becoming more and more available. It's usually in that healthy foods.
Seasoning. It's the seasonings at Meyer section.
It's in the seasoning section
Yeah.
at Meyer, and sometimes it's in with like the Bob's Red Mill stuff, or something like that. It's in the healthier section. If you can't find it there, you can buy it online. But it's usually at most grocery stores now. It's pretty popular. Some people call it nooch.
Nutrilicious is it?
Nutrilicious, that's one of the things. I haven't tried that one.
Nutrilicious.
N-O-O-C-H. Yep.
Licious.
Yep, that's one brand, and that's what they call it. So anyway, that's nutritional yeast. We put oil in, we need salt.
I like it better than salt.
And we need onion powder. I think I got that backwards, it's fine. Onion powder, okay. And then I blend it. Now we still have to add our parsley and basil, but I don't add it yet because I like to see those little flecks because it looks pretty that way. And if you blend it now, your sauce turns just a little bit green from those things, and so we don't want that. So we're gonna go ahead and blend this up real quick. So one of my very first cooking schools, I had a fella helping me do the demonstrations, and he was using a blender just like this one. Mine doesn't. Yeah. And he was trying to cook something, and he was getting really excited about his demonstration. And he went like this, and he went, and this is how you do it! And the bottom fell right out. The ladies loved him after that, because he just smiled and said, that wasn't supposed to happen. Anyway. All right. Anyway, I have never done that before. So my husband actually told me before I left, he goes, just make sure you put the bottom on the blender. That was Eric Toucher. Eric was at that weekend at Stacy did that last time. So then we're gonna put in our parsley and our basil. And again, this is one of those things, this is dry that is really good. I use it all the time, but if you're trying to impress somebody, use the fresh stuff. Which I brought some fresh, oh, it's on the other tray. I have some fresh stuff I can throw in there to impress my family. I just do a quick stir. I don't want to miss that too much because I want to see the little flecks in them. See the little flecks? Those are the best kind. Okay. So, all right. I don't think it's going to cook. It's interesting.
Not working.
We're going to cook it all the way. Well, that explains a little bit. Okay, we're going to leave this to the side, and we're going to start doing this. We're going to put this in, and we're going to start throwing the rest of our vegetables in. We're going to throw, I brought some asparagus because I had some at home. My husband teases me because I buy asparagus once a year. He doesn't like asparagus. But when I see it at the grocery store, I think, I should really eat asparagus. It's supposed to be good for you. So I always buy it once a year, and I say, honey, we have to eat asparagus. And so I bought some. Then we're going to put spinach in. And then we're just going to, and spinach isn't in the recipe, but it never hurts to get your greens, right? So I throw some of that in there. I'm going to let that cook for a minute, and we are going to talk about pasta. So for pasta, in our for our pasta Primavera, which I'm going to turn to that page real quick. It calls for whole wheat pasta, I think. But what I've learned, especially if you use penne, whole wheat pasta tastes like whole wheat pasta. And if you're feeding people who aren't used to eating healthy, and you feed them whole wheat pasta, they're like, this tastes like whole wheat pasta. And so we need to fix that, right? We still want them to eat healthy, but we don't want to feed them whole wheat pasta. So we have a couple of options. And for this particular recipe, because the sauce is so light, I find that you need to use a lighter noodle. So if you're using a gluten-free noodle, you can use like a rice noodle or something like that. That works really well. But these are some of my favorites that you can find at your regular grocery store. This is Smart Taste pasta. This is actually technically white pasta, but it's got added stuff to it. So they've added the fiber back to it that's missing. They've added a lot of other nutrients back to it. And if you're trying to get your people to eat healthy and they'll eat this, they'll eat this and all these vegetables, then that's worth it. That's one of those compromises you can make with your people if you need them to eat healthier. It's like you have to trick them, you know? And so this is one way to do it. And this is another fantastic way. This is new for me. I just learned this is chickpea pasta. And I love it.
There was a gluten-free one tonight.
Okay. I'm not sure it's gluten-free.
It is.
Oh, so there you go. So it's also gluten-free, which is even a bonus. It's also very, very high in protein. Sizzling, listen, everybody listen.
I hear it.
It's very high in protein, so if you're worried about your protein, or somebody else in your family is worried about protein, this is a great option. It tastes a lot like regular pasta, and it has a lot of nutrition that you can get. My theory is, again, you want your people to eat healthy food. And if you have to make a few compromises to get them to do that, it's worth it. If I would have told my grandparents, I mean, I thought about it. I was like, when I first found out about this whole Seventh-day Adventist living, an average of 10 years longer than the average American, I was like, why aren't we telling people this is wrong? But I realized once I got past that, I realized that if I would have told my grandmother, she wouldn't have done it because she has to want to do it. And I would have had to trick her into doing it. And the truth is, they were telling people, I just didn't, people have been doing these cooking schools and these health ministries for over 100 years in the Adventist church. But it's hard to get people to change, and people have to want to change. And that's, so if your family is not wanting to change, it's okay. You can trigger. It's perfectly all right.
Can we quote you?
Yes. Yes. I've had more people, a lot of times ladies will come to the cooking school and they say their husbands won't give up meat or anything. And I said, okay, don't tell them they have to give up the meat. just to make sure they eat more vegetables and just sneak it. And I had one lady that was sneaking tofu into everything. She would grind up tofu and put it in the chili, and he didn't know. He just ate it. He was fine. He didn't care. As long as his wife was feeding him, he was happy. So every little bit you do helps. I always tell people, if you can talk them into 1 day a week, then you're 1/7 of the way to a plant-based diet. All right, so we are moving right along because we're running out of time, and we're sizzling. So that's good. Let's do this thing real quick. We're going to pretend like this is cooked. It's like really good now. Okay, and we are going to throw in our pasta and pray that we brought a big enough
What kind of
pan.
pasta is that?
This is the Smart Taste. All right, I didn't warm it up, so let's just go. There we go. There we go. There we go. And we're going to throw in our sauce. Look at that. It looks perfect. The plan comes together. You know what I'm saying? And then the last thing I add, I'm going to give that a quick stir. The last thing I add is
Tomatoes.
the tomatoes. I don't want the tomatoes to cook too much. I just want them to cook just a little bit. So we're going to do that. We're going to pretend like we did it, and I'm going to hand this off to Stacy, and she's going to do whatever she's got to do to it in the background. And we're going to quick make a lemon pie.
That was good.
The lemon pie is one of those things too. I feel kind of stupid giving you a demonstration of it because it's so easy to make. But it'll be a quick thing together. Okay. All right. I got distracted by not having sizzling, so I just started talking too much. Okay. Let's quick do this. Oh, goodness. Now, for tonight's pie, there you go. For tonight's pie, they handmade the crust. That the recipe is there for you. Tonight, because I was working all day, I just bought this pie crust. Now, I've got this. This is a new pie crust that I like. You can buy it at the regular grocery store. It's pecans and walnuts, so it replaces a lot of the fat with healthy fats, and also gives a nice nutty flavor and good nutrition. So that's what we're using for pie tonight.
What brand is that?
This is by Diamond. There's people who make nuts. There's nut people. Oops, Kate, Stacy. I need that measuring cup. All right. So we're gonna put 4 cups of pineapple juice in here. The great thing about the pineapple juice is it gives a lot of sweetness without having to add a lot of sugar to your pie, which is what we want. So we're using pineapple juice. See, it's already sizzling now. We got it going on. All right. There's pineapple juice. And then, oops, I better do that quick because I've got cornstarch here. And if you add cornstarch to hot, it turns into clumps and it's not good. So I'm going to add that while it's still cold. And get rid of those lumps. I probably should have put it in a smaller container first. Huh? Yeah, well. You can't see the lumps anyway, so it's fine. All right. And then... All good. See, I told you the blender story and embarrassed my friend.
Watching over you. Yeah, just like that. The can does not work with that.
I'm just going to leave it like that. All right. In this jar, I have my lemon juice and my honey.
Okay.
And that's really all there is to this pie. The pineapple juice, the lemon juice, and the honey.
And you mixed it all up.
And I mix it all up. It doesn't go in there. Let me stand here and do this. And then we just have to get this.
You want me to hold it for you?
I just want it to fall off the thingy. Silly thing. That's fine. And then we just have to cook this until it's thick. And when you get it thick, it won't be this white color anymore. I mean, you can't see it now, but the cornstarch kind of gives it a milky color. But when you cook it, it will go away. And I'll trust it. And then Optionally, oh, look at that. She brought me a little spatula. Optionally, you can put raspberries in there or strawberries, and then your pie will take like raspberry lemonade or strawberry lemonade or blueberry lemonade or whatever you want. And so we're going to do that. Oh, that's a lot of berries in there. All right, and that is our lemon pie. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to stir this and let it cook while you close up.
Okay.
And then we'll just dump it on while y'all are chatting. And then we'll have a pie. My daughter actually called me, texted me. She's on her way home from college for spring break. And she said, make me a lemon pie. And so I'm making her a lemon pie for all y'all to watch me do it.
Does she cook up there herself?
You can't cook in a dorm. They don't let you have anything that cooks.
Right.
Which is really is not good. She complains. She has a friend who has a kitchen, so she'll go over there and cook sometimes. My son cooks.
Stephanie, I think I just saw a hand up over here.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, just a question, on the pie crust, what are your thoughts on that pre-made pie crust? Is there some ingredients in there that we probably shouldn't ingest because of how it's made?
What are my thoughts? My thoughts are, it's probably not the ideal, most perfect pie crust,
Okay.
but it's better than most. And if you're gonna have pie, it's okay. That's my thoughts.
Okay.
Now, you don't want to eat it every day. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? There's certain recipes that you will eat for a special occasion, but yeah, they're probably, it's got a lot more healthy ingredients than some of the other ones. So
And the two that were made tonight were made from the granolas that are over here on the counter.
yeah, they were homemade. The ones that you ate tonight were homemade from the.
No, just curious, because I've made grain cracker crust pie before, and it's just crushed up grain crackers and butter.
Yeah.
So, and then when we look at some of the store-bought stuff, there may be 15 other ingredients in there that.
It's true. This one is made, has nuts to replace a lot of the butter in it instead of making it with butter, which I like better.
Or something else.
It's just a healthier version of, but you can make whatever pie crust you want to make, or if you don't want to make pie crust, you know what you can do, because I don't like
Make a
making.
custard or something.
Yeah, I don't like making pie crust, but if you want to make little parfaits with this, it's really cute. In little glasses, you sprinkle your granola on the bottom of your cup, and you don't actually have to make it into a pie crust, you just use the granola. Then you pour your lemon, or your lemon stuff into, on top of that. Then you put your whipped cream and your, or not your whipped topping, and then your
Just a question. I didn't
raspberry
mean
on
to
top.
throw everybody off.
There you go, it's fine. It's a good question, yes ma'am.
Do you have a way that you reheat the pasta with Alfredo sauce? So that it, like, if you're reheat it?
The best way to reheat it is in the microwave. And I know that's probably.
That's okay, I don't know.
You can cook it, you can put it in the oven, but you're gonna wanna add, it's gonna dry out and you're gonna wanna add more liquid to it.
But in the microwave, you don't feel like you have to add any water or anything?
It depends, you can tell when you see it, but that type of thing doesn't reheat as well as, you know, like you can't put it in a pan necessarily. Anybody else have questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is that an actual regular towel?
It's just a regular towel. I save one specifically for tofu, so it's not mixed with the other stuff, and I sanitize it with sanitizing, you know, wash, and so I just keep it clean so I don't, you know, spread germs. Yes, ma'am.
About the towel, you said you did it overnight, then do you put the towel in the fridge?
Yep, I
As
just stick it
opposed
in the
to,
fridge.
it shouldn't be at room temp, it should be.
No, it shouldn't be in room temperature, and you don't have to do it overnight. Sometimes if I think about it, I'll just do it. It's just easy for me to wrap it up and stick it in there. Then I can go straight to cooking it the next morning, you know, whenever I'm ready to do it.
The tofu that we used for the feta tonight came from Costco, and it comes in a 4-pack. It's already pre-pressed, so the liquid is already all the way out of it, and it's very firm. It's kind of hard to mash up, but it's already kind of dried out like that, and it lasts a long time because there's not much liquid in it. So that's the one we use.
Yeah.
It's another option.
That's a good one if you got a Costco membership. Anybody else have questions they would like to ask? Yes, ma'am.
I do. Okay. But soy and estrogen levels, could you speak to that? Because
I can briefly. I'm not a doctor or a nutritionist,
Sure.
but people in China eat the most soy of any population, and they don't have any problems.
But they don't genetically modify their soy.
It's
Soy
true.
is
If you're
different
eating
at the
soybeans
beginning of time
that
in the
have,
United States.
if you're eating soybeans that have been genetically modified, or you're eating soy products that have been, worried about this. If you're eating that have been like processed into a way that, and they've taken each other. God made our fruits and vegetables the way He made them, all whole together for a purpose.
Yep.
And if we start chemically taking them apart,
Right.
they might cause us some trouble. But things like tofu and soy milk made in a right way, and most of this, if you look at most of your tofu in the grocery stores, it is organically grown, and it's a non-GMO and those types of things. So you do want to look for that. But as far as the estrogens go, it's not.
It's a different form of estrogen. It's a plant estrogen, so it doesn't have the same effect.
It doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't have. It's been highly overstated in the news, and you'll find, if you look it up, you're gonna find studies that show both ways. So you're gonna have to, I guess, look at that yourself and see how you want to believe it, because some studies will show one way, so some studies will show another.
I think there's a website called soy.com. I've read for a nutritional company for years now, and they grow their own soy. And what happens is many businesses or companies take it apart, like she was saying, they only use part of it, and the magic is really in the shell of the soybean. That really gives us what we need.
Okay. Anybody else? My pie's done. So thank you for asking those questions. I appreciate it. All right. Anything else?
So how do you know what you're getting? She was saying like something.
These are great questions. We always appreciate questions. And if we don't have the answer right away, because like she said, we're not doctors or physicians, but we're always willing to research something out. And if you have some research of your own, please share it our way, because we're always willing to learn together. We're all on a journey to improve our health, right? And there's a lot of information out there that we just can all study out and learn. That's okay.
All right. Yay.
Can you take this into the kitchen? Pick up. Can we thank Stephanie for coming tonight and sharing with us? Stephanie, we got a little gift to send home with you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's great.
Hopefully you like purple. I do. And I want to encourage you, if you want to get her cookbooks, they're $15 a piece, and they're there at the table, and you want to go home with those. I want to encourage you to come next week to our Creation Health Soup and Study. And if you're interested, just let one of us know or send us a text or something. We know some of those who've already been attending, but if ever all of you came next week, which would be a great thing, we would need to make more soup. So let us know. We'd be happy to have you here. And we will have the study guides for you. If you have your own Bible that you like, feel free to bring that along for those study times and fellowship. So that's the next 4 months. What comes after this? Well, you'll have to wait and see. And I know our team is going to be planning something special, and we will be notifying you when those next classes happen. Just make sure you get on our mailing list so that we can get you those notifications. We are so glad you've been here tonight. I hope you really enjoyed it, and we'll go home, try some of these recipes at home. And I'm going to invite my husband to come up. He's going to have a closing prayer for us, and I think you have a little story you're going to tell us briefly.
Just a quick story, but thank you so much, Stephanie, for being here, and I hope you all enjoyed your meal and the demonstration and the information you gathered, but apply it. You will feel better and you will live longer. So these health principles make a difference, and when we violate the laws of health, there's always a penalty. But I'd like to say something, because as Stacy mentioned, we are going to pastor in a new district, and there were no homes up there for sale. And I prayed and said, Lord, if you're in this, you must find us a place to live. You must have thought of this problem. So about 55 minutes after I prayed, this house pops up on Zillow, and we went, and I said, we'll take it, full price offer. Well, 4 people came in behind us and offered somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000 more than we had offered. And Stacy's like, well, we're never gonna get it. And I said,
Right.
if the Lord called us here, he's thought of this, right?
Right.
One of the gentlemen who was part of the family who is selling the house lives right next door to us. And he said, so you're telling me, he's talking to the realtor, which is his stepbrother, he says, you're telling me these people don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't party all night, and they're into healthful living and gardening? He goes, I want them as neighbors, sell it to Steve and Stacy. So for what it's worth, the health message, the healthy lifestyle, got us a house.
With the Lord's help.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the time together here. Thank you for this building and for Stephanie Howard to be here with us, to share her expertise. But Lord, each and every one of us has a responsibility to put good fuel into our system. And Lord, we all want to run at peak performance, be healthy, and live life abundantly as Jesus promised. So bless us now as we leave. Give us safety in our travels. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
If you were blessed tonight and want to give a little love offering to help defray some expenses, grab one of those little donation envelopes and just turn it into the front desk. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. Eat healthy this week. We'll see you next time.
All right.